TED is Technology, Entertainment, and Design. Started in 1984 and covering a variety of topics, the goal is to, in their words, spread ideas and make great ideas accessible and spark conversation. Sir Robinson was trying to convey that society is teaching students are now being educated out of creativity. By using a story complete with comedic tone, Ken Robinson was able to tell the audience how most useful subjects are now put at the top of the list and creativity has worked its way to the bottom. He goes on to say that more and more kids are continuing their education, but it's not as effective as what it was 20 years ago. It's true, more and more pieces of paper listed on a resume, more and more employers think about hiring a person. As it was put to me recently, it's called playing the game. The more pieces of paper you have, the better you look. Mr. Robinson interweaves humor with his speech and keeps his audience engaged. And by doing so, it's become an effective speech because the audience will walk away thinking about how schools are now more focused on math, English, and science instead of the arts. Miss Adichie made her points by painting a picture of how she grew up in Africa, and stories she heard were less fortunate than she was. She found out once she arrived in college that she wasn't the stereotype everyone expected her to be. What's amazing about her speech is that it made me think that not only does this happen on a global scale, it happens on an individual scale as well. We are unique individuals, diverse in our own ways, and this led me back to our Getting to Know You videos. In each one that I watched, everyone wanted to do better at public speaking. Some people really opened up about what their goals were and what they wanted to do and where they were going, while others felt it was easier to tell you who they are and how to find them. Finally, we're given the assignment to watch 3 or more TED Talks. That was like telling me to choose between my kids. There were hundreds of different speeches. Some of them I thought I would be interested in, and after listening to them for a little more than a minute, turned me off. Not that I didn't give them the benefit of the doubt. I did, but they didn't hold my attention. I started to wander. My mind was starting to think, hey, maybe I can fit in a game of Candy Crush while this video is going on. So I'm listening to the speech, not actually knowing what's going on. Out of the 25 or so that I watched, I finally settled on 3. The first one was Once Upon a Time, My Mother by Carmen Didi. Her accent, her hand movements, her interaction with the audience, right off the bat had me sucked in. She painted a picture of her childhood and told a story that reminded me of my own mom, who constantly reminds me to this day that one day I have to change her diapers. Carmen went on to tell the story that all daughters hear, and all the crazy trips that we take with our moms, and how one day we all will end up missing them. In the second video, I watched David Griffith's How Photography Connects Us. At first, I thought David looked familiar because, a little brief history, in 2001 I shot a video for National Geographic, but alas, this was not the man I shot for him. Anyhow, David, who's now the director of photography for National Geographic, elaborated how the stories don't always have to be told by speaking. This is true. This is why we have photo stories and photojournalism. Photography was a job that I had in the Navy, and this video reminded me a lot of every photo has a chance to say, a picture speaks 1,000 words. I'm still an avid photographer, and I rely on my skills of working in the camera to tell the story of what I see in front of the camera. And this video also reminded me that there are still purists in the world that don't rely on Photoshop to get the job done. Last but not least, I watched the spoken word of Sarah Kay's If I Should Have a Daughter. She talked about how her parents believed in her enough as a child to let her speak at the Bowery Ballroom. She talked about being nervous, and she's real. She creates poems about her thoughts, and mostly so she can understand herself better. She admits they don't always make sense, but in the end, she understands. Of all the spoken poetry I've ever seen or heard, she will and continue to make poetry in a way that opens minds and broadens horizons. She's not angry. She's not mean. She's not stick it to the man. She's open. She teaches as she speaks. In the end, these were all thought-provoking videos, and I'm probably going to return to the TED website at a later date to enjoy some more.